أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I hope you're well, my brothers and sisters. How has your day been? Share with us your thoughts and your feelings and perhaps your stories of the entire week. We may not have the time to listen to them all, but certainly would love to hear from a few of you, inshallah, if possible. I know before any one of you, my dear brother Alfonso is already there waiting for the study circle to start. We are starting our Wightman Road Mosques, courtesy of course, and organized by our family study circle, which will happen every Sunday between 7 and 8, inshallah, 1 hour. I have decided it will be an hour. Today we'll go on for extra half an hour because we want to talk about the masjid. So it's going to be between 8 and 8:30 for another half an hour. We'll be inviting some of our dear brothers and sisters from the masjid. Sister Rabi will come, Imam Ishaq Jasad will come, and inshallah we will have Dr. Feroz who will join us. So we'll have a few people. But today we're going to be continuing with the weekly study circle as we do every Sunday between 7 and 8 every Sunday. Remember, don't forget, put it in your diary. For inshallah, if Allah wills, and I'll do my best to be here Sundays between 7 and 8 o'clock to discuss various aspects of our faith. Inshallah. We've been joined by many people: Alfonso, Mr. Mateen, Ali Nur Zaman, Fatima Mangera. They've all said Assalamu alaikum. I would say wa alaikum assalam to you all. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being with us. Today, the day has been very funny. You know, there has been good weather, followed by rain, followed by sunshine, followed by strong wind. We as a family, we were scheduled to go out to kayaking with the kids. Unfortunately, we had to cancel our kayaking trip because of the bad weather. Ended up doing some DIY work, clearing out old carpet, replacing it with floorboards. So we did that. I did some of that. My family, alhamdulillah, they helped. It was a good afternoon, and now we are here. I'm here with you, inshallah, to talk about another topic. Remember, last week we all talked about Allah. Is there any question that has arisen from our last week's conversation? I would be very happy to hear it. Some of you have raised questions such as, if Allah is all kind and all merciful, why do we have so much evil on this world? And if Allah is so powerful and so strong and He's omnipresent, why doesn't He stop this evil from happening? Because He's all powerful and He's all kind. This is a question about Allah that has been going on as part of the human debate for years and years. It's not the first time. Humanity have debated this between philosophers and scholars throughout time immemorial. If you go back to the Greek philosophers, you go back even earlier than that, you will see people have been debating this between themselves. Well, the answer is very simple, my brothers and sisters. There's no need to waste your time debating it. Allah is all merciful and all powerful, of course. Part of His mercy and His all power is that He has designed human beings, you and me, in a particular way. Part of that design is that He has made us a people called human, insan, who He gave a label called Khalifa, the ones who would be responsible for looking after this earth, for their own affairs, responsible for making their own life good or bad. And He gave us all, from the day we were created, innate abilities, including a brain that functions, and a supremely powerful brain it is. There is nothing in this universe comparable to our brain. Nothing. This brain that we have is unique and the most powerful processor that you can ever think about. Even your mind cannot fathom how amazing and powerful this brain that we have. That's the first thing He's given us, brain. He has given us a heart that is responsible for pumping blood to the rest of our body. It is also the epicenter, as some would say, of emotions. He has given us emotions with which we can feel. process the information in our brain and feel it. And He has given us conscience by which we can judge between right and wrong. And He has given us free will to decide whatever we want in life. This is the design of Allah. Human beings have been created with intelligence. Human beings have been created with innate ability to decide between right and wrong. Human beings have the capacity to decide between right and wrong with the right information and their brain and their emotions. If that is the design that Allah has made for human, if Allah was to intervene, we would have to give up on our free will. If Allah wants to intervene for everything, that we would be a people with no knowledge and no capacity to be able to make a decision based on right and wrong and the information that we have. For as long as we remain human, we're responsible for good and bad that is happening around us. Expecting Allah to intervene is completely and utterly empty the very essence of our being. As humans, we are responsible for ourselves. Allah isn't. So we can't have freedom, we can't have intellect, and we cannot at the same time demand Allah's intervention. If you want Allah to intervene for everything, then you also have to give up on your freedom and your capacity to be knowledgeable, which is not going to happen. So that's the reason why, while Allah is all merciful, all powerful, He doesn't intervene. Because in the creation of us, in our essential design, in our DNA, we are responsible and capable of bearing responsibilities. If He intervenes, it would contradict our essence. It would contradict our being. It would contradict the design with which Allah has made us. So that's the answer to that question. Some of you have raised that question about Allah. If Allah is all powerful, why doesn't He stop all the evil? If Allah is all kind and all merciful, why does He allow evil to happen? Allah doesn't allow evil to happen, and Allah isn't responsible for the evil that is happening around us. We are. We cause havoc on this earth, and we want Allah to intervene. Remember, we discussed last week, Allah is the creator, the fashioner, and the designer of this universe. He is in full control. He is one and the only. There is no deity, no partners, nothing whatsoever worthy of worship except one Allah. Our worship must be directed and devoted only to Him. We should never seek from somebody else help and support like we would seek help and support from Allah. Our prayer, our sacrifice, our life, our death are all for Allah. There are no priests, there are no imams, there are no peers, there are no sheikhs who can take you to paradise. You are to ask Allah for help, and you are to seek Allah's mercy. You are to devote all your worship to Him alone, nobody else. In that essence of Allah's oneness, there is no space for corruption, dilution, or anything else. This is the absolute truth of Allah. So is there any question anybody has that they would like to raise from our last week's circle? Our first circle was about Allah and how to understand Allah. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them today and clarify. So is there anybody here who would like to ask Allah questions about Allah that we have talked about last week? And of course, anything that you may have as a consequence of our conversation that you would like clarity on. So is there anybody here who wants to ask a question? This is your chance to raise a question if you have one. How can I maintain my family in Islamic way? I've got 3 girls and my beloved wife. Please suggest. Brother Hashim, Abul Hashim, I would love to suggest that to you, but that's not our topic of our conversation today. The topic of our conversation I'm opening up is with Allah from our first circle. Remember, it's a systematic process by which we will learn. If we learn together, we have to go through one topic at a time. We can't jump topics, and we cannot dilute the essence of what we are learning. If we want to keep our lessons going, we have to learn clearly and directly from simple lessons that we developed together. So the first one was about Allah. Are there any questions from anybody that you would like to raise about Allah that I can clarify, or that we've discussed last time that you need further clarification? That's my question to begin our session today. Remember, at the beginning of every session, I will open up, inshallah, an opportunity for you to ask questions or seek clarification from the previous session so that we are not in confusion. Is there anybody here who is in confusion about oneness of Allah, about our belief, about how we have to base our belief on one simple truth, and that is anything that we believe must be evidenced. We cannot have matters of belief without evidence. It has to be evidence-based. Anything outside evidence-based is simple mumbo jumbo. We don't listen to it. We don't accept it. We simply reject them. We accept only evidence-based aspects of belief. If there is no evidence, we don't accept it. I hope you understand. Give me a nod or a yes or a no if you've understood the point. And if there are any questions, please raise them. This is your chance to raise any questions. You can raise questions by typing on your page, on the Facebook or YouTube, and I'll see the question instantly as soon as you raise it. Allah's name, Allah as when we believe in Allah as one and the only, that particular aspect of belief is known as Tawheed, Allah's oneness. There is no other way to explain it. There are three different types of Tawheed we have learned, and somebody mentioned it last week. One is called Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, then the other one is called Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, and the third one is called Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah is where you accept Allah as the Ilah, the only deity worthy of your devotion. Your Ilah, the only power worthy of your surrender. Ilah means the only power who you submit to fully, unconditionally, willingly, and happily. Allah is the Ilah. No dilution in that. Nobody else is your Ilah. Allah is your Ilah. La ilaha. That's what we say when we become Muslim. If somebody becomes a Muslim, they say La ilaha. There is nothing worthy of worship. No deity, no partners, nothing whatsoever. This is called believe in Allah in His Ilah form. The one who is Ilah. La ilaha Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. Uluhiyyah is a very simple concept. Allah is the Ilah. There is no other deity. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah is accepting Allah as your sustainer, who is actively involved in your life every day. Allah is the one who gives you the power to wake up every morning. Allah is the one who enables you to go to sleep at night. Allah is the one who keeps this universe ticking away. He enables the sun to rise, moon to rise, tides to move, oceans to boil forth. Allah is the one who is a Rabb, not just a creator of this universe who made us and went to sleep or rest like some people believe. We don't believe in that. Allah is a Rabb. Do we refer to Allah as gender neutral? Yes, we do. Somebody has just raised this, Unaysa. Allah is always gender neutral, always number singular. There is no plural for the Arabic word Allah. The English word God has gods as in plural and goddess as in a feminine term. Whereas Allah in Arabic is never, you will never find linguistically, it's impossible to make plural of Allah or make feminine or masculine gender of Allah. Allah is always gender neutral. Lovely Nasreen says, I'm constantly asking forgiveness from Allah about my past sins which I committed ignorantly. Will I be forgiven without asking anything, as my belief that He will, but how will I convince myself to understand that He will accept my repentance? Well, lovely Nasreen, your answer is in your own question. You will be forgiven. You have to ask Allah to forgive you. Just ask Him and have the faith that He will forgive you. If you've got doubts about Allah's forgiveness, then that's a problem. We should not have doubts about Allah forgiving us. We should believe in Allah's forgiveness absolutely. It's part of our tawheed. It's part of our belief system that Allah responds to my dua every time I ask for it. I don't need to ask somebody else. I don't need to go to an imam. I don't need to go to a peer. I don't need to go to a sheikh. I don't need to go to anyone who is supposedly holy. No, I don't need to. I ask Allah with the full belief that Allah will forgive me. I ask Allah with the full faith that Allah will accept me, accept my dua. I ask Allah with the full knowledge and full faith that Allah is hearing and knowing everything. And when you have that kind of faith, you will make dua believing that Allah will respond to your dua in the most appropriate way that is relevant to you. So, coming back to the concept of Allah, I want you to be 150% clear. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. There is nobody who can harm you without Allah knowing about it. There is nobody in this universe who can benefit you without Allah knowing about it. Whatever happens in your life, in my life, in all of our lives, my brothers and sisters, benefit and harm is only possible for Allah is in full knowledge of everything. So that's a very important aspect of Allah that you should believe in. So I was talking about Tawheed al-Uluhiyya, Tawheed in the sense of Allah's ilah, no deity, He is the only one. You say La ilaha illallah. And then Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Allah is the Lord, sustainer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I praise and thank Allah, the Lord of the universe. Lord means somebody who is relevant, who is actively involved in our life. Lord means somebody who makes decisions for us on matters that He has decided to decide on those matters. So Allah is the one who is Rabb. He is the one who enables all the nature to function in the best way possible. Allah is Rabb. And the last is Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat, to Allah's oneness in His attributes. So for example, Allah is Al-Malik, Al-Quddus, Al-Salam, Al-Mu'min, Al-Muhaymin, Al-Aziz, Al-Jabbar, Al-Mutakabbir. All of these names and more, 99 names of Allah, describe Allah. These are the qualities of Allah. These are the beautiful names of Allah that we should all emulate, we should follow. So when we read Allah is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Allah is the most merciful, the one who gives mercy, Ar-Rahim, we need to recognize that we cannot be the most merciful, but we can certainly be merciful. We cannot be the only who gives all mercy. We can't, because Allah is. We can give mercy and generosity to other people. Allah's mercy has no bounds. Understanding that, accepting that, and trying to become a person as a human being, merciful to your fellow human being, is purpose of understanding Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat. If you pass away as a good Muslim, do you see Allah while dying? No. If you pass away while you have been a good Muslim, your vision of what you see is never of Allah. For no eyes can see Allah except when Allah would enable us to see Him on the Day of Judgment, for those of us who are privileged and honored with such a sight, such a view, such an encounter. When you're dying, you see Malakul Maut, angel of death, who comes in front of you to take your life away. Angel of death is responsible for your life, to take it away, but when they take your life away, you see the life in the hereafter. The curtain has been lifted so you can see that which was unseen before, but you never see Allah. What are the different levels of Iman, and how can we move to the higher level of Iman? What would be our understanding of Allah at the highest level of Iman, and what would be our understanding of Allah at the lowest level of Iman? Well, my brothers and sisters, Iman has been categorized in different levels. Of course, that we know. But the entry level is very simple. Entry level is to say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Now, my brothers and sisters, if you are on an entry level of Islam, entry level of Iman, then there is an issue. How long would you remain at the entry level? Your belief in Allah must be at the highest level possible. And that needs to be attained over time and with knowledge. Remember, Iman has different levels, and how can we attain them requires time and knowledge. I will talk about levels of Iman later on, But today, I want to address the most important issue that we have so far not addressed, and that is, if you truly believe in Allah, then you must color yourself with the color of Allah. Now, when I say color of Allah, what do I mean? This is where Tawheed, Al-Asma wa Sifat comes in. Allah's oneness through His 99 names, the attributes and beautiful names that He has. So when Allah says, color yourself with the color of Allah, we color ourselves with the color of Allah. That means we put our characteristics, our behavior, our lifestyle in the measure of what Allah's name indicate. For example, Allah is Ar-Rahman. We try and become Rahman or Abdul Rahman, the servant of the most kind, the most merciful. There is a very beautiful verse of the Quran that I want to show you. Let me go back and share this verse with you for those of you who are able to see this. Let me see if I can share this screen, brothers and sisters. Bear with me for a second while I share the screen. Share the screen is Bismillah. Where is the verse gone? Oh, I thought I had the screen available. Let me make the screen available for you to see, and then inshallah you can definitely see it. There you go. Let's see. This is the verse I want to show you. So here is a verse in the Quran. In Surah Al-Baqara, Allah Azza wa Jal says, Sibghat Allah, wa man ahsanu min Allahi sibghata. Say, our life takes its hue from Allah. And who could be a better hue to life than Allah if we but truly worshipped Him? Now, some of you may be wondering, what is hue? Well, hue here is color of Allah. There are many great scholars who have translated this verse in slightly different way. Let me try and find other translations so that you can see various translations and try and understand the meaning of this verse. So the verse has been translated by scholars. This is the natural way of Allah. Who is better than Allah in ordering a natural way is one translation. Another translation is, and take Allah's color, and who can give a better color than Allah? Therefore, we worship and submit to Him alone. And Muhammad Abdul Halim has written very beautifully, take its color from Allah. Who gives better color than Allah? It is Him who we worship. Brothers and sisters, when I talk about color of Allah, I talk about Allah's attributes. Allah is most kind, most merciful. Nasreen is talking about ayah number, please. Yes, I will give you the ayah number, Nasreen, if you want. It is Surah 2, Surah Al-Baqara, verse 138. Surah Al-Baqara, verse 138. I was sharing it just for yourselves so that you can have the easy task of looking at it and immediately knowing where this verse is. So here it is again for those of you who don't know. Here you go. The verse itself is there, and the reference is this one. The verse number 138, surah number 2. Unaisa says, does the 99 names of Allah include the names of Allah Himself? No. The 99 names are the attributes of Allah. Their name, Allah is His essential name, His name Allah. That does not include the 99 names. You can, of course, find the 99 names of Allah everywhere. So Allah is kind, Allah is merciful, Allah is forgiving, Allah is generous, Allah is loving, Allah is all the 99 names that you can find. You and I have to become loving and kind, merciful and compassionate, forgiving. We should be people who go out there to help people, the helper. Allah is the helper. Allah is the opener. Allah is the eraser. You have to study the 99 names of Allah to be able to understand the beauty of them. Subhanallah, my brothers and sisters, just think about them. Allah has 99 names. Let me show you the 99 names of Allah. If I can find it for you all. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's see if I can find them. The 99 names of Allah. Where is it gone? You cannot surely find them on internet. When you do Google search them, definitely you will find them. So for example, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Quddus, Al-Salam, Al-Mu'min, Al-Muhaymin, Al-Aziz, Al-Jabbar, Al-Mutakabbir, Al-Khaliq, Al-Bari, Al-Musawwir, Al-Ghaffar, Al-Qahhar, Al-Wahhab, Al-Razzaq, Al-Fattah, Al-Alim, Al-Qabid, Al-Basit, Al-Hafiz, Al-Rafi', Al-Mu'izz, Al-Mudhill, Al-Sami' Al-Basir. I can go on. I don't want to read all the 99 names of Allah. You can go and find them, inshallah. So, do you understand Allah from His uluhiyya, His ilah? Do you understand Allah from His rububiyyah, as Allah is the Rabb? And do you understand Allah's oneness from His asma wa sifat, asma'ullah al-husna, from His 99 names? Have you all understood Allah the way you should be? Is it true if you repeat a certain name of Allah, you will gain that attribute? And if you memorize all the names, you'll go to heaven? No, and that is not true. You can repeat the name of Allah. For example, I can sit on my chair and keep on saying Ar-Rahman, 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 Ar-Rahman. I can say it millions of times. I can get the biggest sibha in the world and I can start doing tasbih. I will not become kind and merciful. I can say Al-Wadud, 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 Al-Wadud. His name is the most loving. I can say that all I like, but I will not be automatically a loving person, because for me to become automatically loving is impossible. I need to learn to develop love and learn to love others and be able to share love with other people. So love is an active, it's a verb, it's not a noun. You can repeat the name all you like. You will not be able to become loving, become merciful, become kind, become forgiving just by reciting the name. No, you have to understand the name. You have to understand the benefit of having that quality in your life. You have to rationalize it in your head. You have to embrace it in your life. And it's only through practicing those great qualities do you then get the amazing blessings Allah has promised. And just because you memorize the 99 names of Allah, it doesn't guarantee you paradise. I've got the bad news to give you. Just because you have memorized the 99 names of Allah, it doesn't guarantee you paradise. Many people may have memorized the 99 names of Allah, but they are evil people, perhaps. Maybe they lie, maybe they backbite, slander, gossip, swear. Maybe they do things that are contradictory to Islam. That will not take them to paradise. So 99 names of Allah is important for you to understand Allah's qualities, Allah's attributes. So you understand what Allah is like. I said to you earlier, if you close your eyes and you're thinking about Allah, how should you imagine Allah? The 99 names of Allah enables you to do that, gets you to understand them. Here are the 99 names of Allah. Let me see if I can show it to you again. So for example, here it is. Allah is Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman means what? The most kind. Ar-Rahim, the one who gives kindness. Al-Malik, the sovereign Lord. Al-Quddus, the holy. As-Salam, the peaceful. Al-Mu'min, the guardian of those who are faithful. Al-Muhaymin, the protector. Al-Aziz, the mighty. Al-Jabbar, the compeller. Al-Mutakabbir, the majestic. Al-Khaliq, the creator. Al-Bari', the evolver. Al-Musawwir, the fashioner. Al-Ghaffar, the forgiver. Al-Qahhar, the subdued one. Al-Wahhab, the bestower. Al-Razzaq, the provider. I can go on and on and on. When you read the 99 names of Allah, you begin to learn Allah from His qualities and attributes. If you want to understand Allah from His qualities and attributes, it is very important that you study the 99 names of Allah. Memorizing them is not enough. So the purpose of introducing you today to the 99 names of Allah. Allah's uluhiyya, his ilah, and rububiyya, his Rabb, his lordship, his active sustainership, is so that you can make an active relationship with Allah. Have you all understood Allah for who Allah is today? Allah is not a male. Allah is not a female. Allah is never plural. Is always singular, is one and only. Allah is absolute. He is unique. He is nothing like human beings. No creation resembles Allah. And most importantly, Allah is most powerful, most kind, and everything is under his fingertips, in his reach, within his knowledge. Nothing is unseen. Nothing is unknown to Allah. That's Allah. And I want you to know this for a fact. I want you to know this for a fact. When you put Allah like this in your life and put it into practice, what this means is that you don't need to go to anybody in the world for anything except Allah. That's the manifestation of your faith. When you have such faith, you will not go to anybody. You will not be disturbed by people's behavior, because you know Allah knows what's going on, and Allah will make it happen for you when it is right, when it is correct, and most importantly, when it is beneficial for you. So if you want to know about Allah, it is very important that you study. Question: did Allah name his 99 names? Yes, Allah gave us all the 99 names. He talks about it in the Quran. And we understand the 99 names are mentioned all over the Quran. And of course, from the Sunnah of Rasulullah, authentic Sunnah of Rasulullah, we gather them. But Allah mentions his 99 names in the Quran as a concept, that he has Asma'ullah al-Husna as part and parcel of Allah's attributes. And we have to be absolutely clear. Brothers and sisters, I'll show you the verse, Asma'ullah al-Husna. I'm just going to get the verse out for you. Let's see if I can find the verse. Where is the verse? I'll find it, inshallah. It's in the Quran somewhere. I will find it for you later on. Asma'ullah al-Husna. It's Asma. There you go. Let's see if I can find it now. There are many. Allah talks about. I'll inshallah give you the references as soon as I can. At the moment, I can't remember it myself. Okay. I hope Fatima Mangera, your 9-year-old Zahra, has got her answer. Allah mentions about his name in the Quran. He does indeed. Any questions? Any other questions about Allah? Tahira Jan Muhammad, welcome. You're slightly late, but alhamdulillah, it's better late than never. Alhamdulillah. Are you telling your friends and your families to join us? Are you telling that we are studying, and inshallah we're going to be studying together about Islam, about various aspects of our life, our faith, and I'm starting with Allah, the most important aspect of our life, believing in Allah. What is the proof of Allah's existence? Somebody asked me a question earlier on. The proof of Allah's existence is you. What do I mean by this? The proof of Allah's existence is you. Just look at you, my brothers and sisters. Just look at you. Take a look at you. So beautifully created. So amazingly fashioned and designed. Nothing in this universe can create and design a species like us. All human beings can come together. If they want to design a human being intelligent, emotional, with feeling, with life, with strength, with brain, with heart, with organs like we have, we will fail in doing so. Human beings have tried, but they've failed. The only way they can see a procreation or a replica of themselves is by procreation, and even it is by the design of Allah that we can procreate. If you take a bit of sperm and an egg and you put them together at home and you can cook it for all you like, you will not get a baby. You will not get a baby. And yet Allah has created a natural way by which When the sperm and the egg meet in the right place, at the right temperature, in a nice and secure and a safe space, the outcome is a beautiful creation of Allah. For us humans, and for animals, their own species. That is the sign of Allah's existence. Who else could have designed something like this? Oh, this happens accidentally. Are you sure it happens accidentally? Can anything be possible accidentally? It isn't. If I told you I put a pot on the cooker one day, and I threw in every single ingredient in my kitchen cupboard, and I expected a nice dish to emerge out of my pot, you'll probably think you're mad. You need to cook it the right way. If I'm trying to cook biryani, the favorite of our listeners, you'll have to follow a recipe. There are methods to biryani too. There are methods to making anything. If a simple biryani requires a method, a methodical way, there has to be a cook who does it with their own hand or her own hand. Why would you think sophisticated creations like you and me, we can speak with our mouth, process our information in our head, feel our emotions, all of this, you think this sophisticated, complex human being came into being accidentally? It makes no sense. When Isa said, when the Prophet ﷺ saw Allah, did he give out the description to anyone? When I say, you are absolutely wrong, my dear sister. Prophet ﷺ never saw Allah. It is wrong to believe. It is an absolute error to believe that Prophet ﷺ saw Allah. Prophet of Allah ﷺ never ever saw Allah. So please don't misunderstand. Prophet ﷺ never saw Allah. It is impossible for anyone to see Allah. Allah cannot be seen with naked eyes, with our own eyes. The earthly eyes that we have, Allah cannot be seen. It is not befitting for a human to see Allah. So therefore, anyone who suggests that they have seen Allah or Prophet of Allah ﷺ saw Allah, they're lying. Prophet ﷺ never saw Allah. In fact, Aisha radiallahu anha, his own wife, said this in a very beautiful hadith, where she said, if anybody tells you Rasul when he went to the seventh of the heavens, he saw Allah, he is lying, or she is lying. You know, brothers and sisters, it is impossible for anyone to see Allah with their naked eye. Impossible. So sorry to disappoint you, Nisa, that Rasul never saw Allah. Hisham A said, my 6-year-old daughter has just asked me, whilst watching your live, has Allah got a face? How should I answer her? Allah doesn't have a face like you and me. And if Allah has a face or not have a face, we haven't got a clue what it looks like. So we cannot say Allah's face looks like my face. No. So we can't put human attributes on Allah, because Allah is nothing like his creation. It's not easy to imagine Allah, but it is not supposed to be something that you imagine physically. Allah is not supposed to be a physical shape. Alhamdulillah, we don't have one. Allah is not black, Allah is not white. We are seeing now in Christian church how Jesus is depicted as a white, blue-eyed white man with a blonde hair, European looking. The black people who are Christian are saying that's racist. Alhamdulillah, in our religion, we don't have anything like that. In our religion, we don't have the rights to depict our Prophet of Allah ﷺ through a picture. We can't do that. It's haram. We cannot do a statue imagining that is Allah. It is not allowed in Islam. We cannot have statues. We cannot have imageries. We worship Allah, and the concept of Allah is abstract. Allah cannot be put into a physical form. The moment you put Allah into a physical form, you're putting Allah into his creation and making him appear like his creation. And Allah isn't like his creation. Lovely Nasreen says, who is Allah if a non-Muslim asks a question? Is it enough to explain Surah Al-Ikhlas to answer this question? Can you clear a bit more, inshallah? Yes, I did last time, and I say it again. Yes, Surah Al-Ikhlas and also Ayatul Kursi. Allah is one and the only. He is unique. He has no partners. He never had any parents, nor did he have any children. Allah doesn't die. Allah has always existed. Allah doesn't need anything. He doesn't need time. He doesn't need food. He doesn't get hungry. He doesn't get sleepy. Allah doesn't have these needs we have. Allah doesn't need time. We do. Allah doesn't need a space. We do. Allah has created time and space for us. He has created needs for human beings and other species that occupy this earth and beyond. Allah is not like his creatures. Allah is not like human. He is not comparable to human at all. So if a non-Muslim was to ask you this question, give them this answer. Fatima Mangera says, did Allah give the Prophet Adam his name? Yes, Allah did. Zahra is asking this question. Allah gave Adam the name Adam and Eve the name Hawa, and he made both of them at the beginning of time, as we know in the Quran, and he gave them knowledge. He planted in their brain all information that they needed to survive on this earth and develop and grow with time and over time. And we, as human species, throughout time, have inherited this particular way. That's what makes us human. Hisham A says, thank you for answering the question. Yes, of course, you're welcome. Any other questions about Allah? I want to be absolutely clear about Allah. By the way, there is a concept called shirk, which is to associate partners with Allah. Associating partners with Allah can be minor and major. Unaisa has just raised a question. When Allah was commanding the Prophet to do something, what was the sound of the voice? Since Allah is not male or female, Allah sent his angel Jibreel to speak to Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah did not appear in front of Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah sent Jibreel to speak to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a messenger, as a postman. He is known as Jibreel. When Rasulullah went to seventh of the heavens, when Rasulullah went there, he did not see Allah. I want you to be very clear. Rasulullah did not say what kind of a voice Allah has. And Unaisa, it's not important what kind of a voice Allah has. For you and I to assume there should be a voice that is similar to human voice in itself is limiting Allah to human attributes. Don't limit Allah to human attributes. It's a very big mistake to make. Allah is beyond human attributes. Allah is over and above human attributes. Allah is nothing like his creation called human. So I want to move on a bit and introduce you the concept of shirk. Shirk is when you associate partners with Allah. There are shirk which are small shirk, and there are big shirk. There are shirk which are major, and there are shirk which are minor. Minor shirk and major shirk, we need to distinguish between the two. So for example, minor shirk is if you're praying and you're showing off while praying. It's a minor shirk. But if you are worshipping somebody else except Allah, then that's a major shirk. So if somebody goes to a graveyard and makes a devotion, a sacrifice or asks the person who is dead to intervene or help, that becomes a major shirk. If somebody goes to an Imam and says, Imam, please make dua for me, that's not a shirk. But if somebody says, Imam is the only one who can help me to succeed in the hereafter because the Imam will be able to intercede on my behalf, that becomes a minor shirk. Because brothers and sisters, nobody has the right to intercede except by the permission of Allah. You can associate your wealth as your savior. Science can and has become in our modern world a replacement to believing in Allah, and that's a problem. So we need to really remain focused and never allow a space ever to emerge in our families, in our lives, that even remotely resembles or even smells of shirk in your language, in your thought. And I'll give you a good example. You know, people buy newspapers and they look at horoscopes. What star sign are you? Are you this? Are you that? They look at your date of birth and they work out your star sign. Are you familiar with the star signs? If you read a passage under your star sign, and if accidentally or without really meaning to, you suddenly say, yeah, wow, this is true, you've committed shirk. Star signs have nothing to do with your destiny and your future. The only power worthy of knowledge of the future is Allah. Nobody else knows anything about the future. So reading your horoscope, you shouldn't read it, because what if you unknowingly start believing and recognizing some truth in what they're saying? Stay away from horoscope. Fortune tellers, people go to get their palms read, not allowed again. Some people go to their local imams to get taweez on a piece of paper to get cure, not allowed again. These are all considered a form or a type of shirk. We should stay away from them, because these will nullify our faith. And unless you repent after committing shirk, your destiny, unfortunately, is terrible. It's a sad one in the hereafter. Abdullah Shagor is asking, why is Saud so against Iran? I don't know, my bro. This is not our conversation right now. We're talking about Allah today. We're not talking about anybody else. Let's not waste our time talking about these despotic, waste of time rulers around the world. Let's talk about our relationship with Allah. So if you buy horoscope, so if you buy a newspaper or a magazine and you straight away run to horoscope and start reading them, if you go and get your palms read, if you go to fortune tellers, crystal ball gazers, people who can read your star signs or look at the stars above on the sky and give you predictions of the future, you're committing shirk. You're committing shirk. Don't go near it. Don't even entertain it. I call it horoscope. It will cause you horror on the day of judgment. Going to an imam, asking the imam to give you taweez. Going to an imam, asking him to blow some holy breath, in quote unquote, on a pot of water. Nonsensical. You're not well, go to a doctor and ask Allah to give you shifa. Make this dua. Allahumma rabbin nas. Ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma rabbin nas. This is the dua of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. إذا بالبأس واشفي أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاءك شفاء لا يغادر سقما. That's the dua you should be making when you're not well. Not running to your local imam to give you taweez. Going to a doctor to get medication isn't shirk, because Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that. You should go to a doctor to get medication. Of course, that's allowed. But Quran did not come down to give you physical shifa by you getting somebody to read it on your face or writing it on a piece of paper and hanging it around your neck. No. You ask Allah for shifa, the one who has given you the Quran, Allah will give you shifa. Why put it up around your neck? My brothers and sisters, stay away from shirk. Grave worship is shirk. Going and asking a person who is in the grave to give you something is shirk. Shirk is a grave injustice against Allah. Fatima Mangera says, or Zahra as the name is, so why did Allah create us humans? Allah created humans because He wanted to. Simple answer to your question. He's the creator. He decides. It's like you, right? You are in the kitchen and you decided to bake a cake. Somebody says, why did you bake the pineapple cake today? You felt like it. Nobody else can question you. Why did you bake almond cake today? I felt like it. Allah is the creator of the universe. He decided to create human beings. That's His choice. That's His decision. And we are the byproduct of that choice, that decision. We can't be questioning Allah, why have you chosen to create us? That was His choice. It's like my car asking me, hey, why have you made me? It's like my donkey saying, hey, why are you riding me? That doesn't work like that. I made my car, and my car has no question but to obey my command. I made my phone. Human beings made their phone. Phone cannot question you. No. You're a creation of Allah. You can ask the question. I'm afraid, firstly, you will not understand the answer to that question. Secondly, why does it matter? He is the creator. He decided to make something. He made them, and that's you and me. You and I have to follow what he has given. If you're struggling to follow what he has given, then you need to revisit how you even came into being. You need to revisit the purpose of your existence. That's when you ask, "Oh Allah, tell me what's my purpose of what's the purpose of creating you and you? What's the purpose of you creating me?" And Allah answers it. He says, "I created you so that you would worship me." Simple. Could you please, somebody called Hashim Abdul Hashim said, could you please summarize some points how we can get closer to Allah? Inshallah, I will do that. Abdul Zafar, lovely Nasreen's past sins or sins during fast, which is better? I don't understand. No, she meant past sins, my dear brother Abu Zafar Muhammad. That was a typo. She talked about her past sins. Don't be so pedantic in picking up on a typo. It's her past sins. Any past sins we commit, as soon as we realize that we've committed a sin, because you believe in Allah and because you've got a relationship with Allah, it's like me and my family, right? Like, take the example of my wife and I. If I do something against my wife, as soon as I realize I've done something against her, isn't it most courteous that I should go and say sorry to her straight away? Put it right. And when I say sorry to my wife, if she doesn't accept my apology, there is a problem. I need to be sincere and humble enough to apologize, and my wife should be broad-hearted, broad-minded, and kind enough to accept my apology. Or if she comes and apologizes to me, I should be prepared to forgive. Any mistake you and I make, as long as we are prepared to ask for forgiveness, Allah will forgive us, inshallah. May Allah forgive us all, inshallah. So, summary about how we can become close to Allah. The way you become close to Allah is by recognizing Allah, is by building a relationship with Allah, is by knowing Allah, is by spending more time in reflection of Allah, is by looking around and wondering and drawing lessons from the nature that we have around us. You know, my brothers and sisters, in the Quran, Allah talks about this verse. I'm going to quote it for you. الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم الَّذِينَ إِذَا, let me find the verse for you. الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ. Let me find the verse for you. It's in Surah Al-Hashr. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ. This is very beautiful, my brothers and sisters. In Surah Al-Anfal, actually, Surah number 8, verse number 2. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. Whenever believers are only those whose hearts tremble in awe whenever Allah is mentioned, and whose faith is strengthened whenever His messages are conveyed unto them. And who is their sustainer place? Who in their sustainer place their trust? Let me share this verse with you so you can copy it. If you want to copy this verse, please take it down. I'm going to share it with you so that you don't make any mistake. Here you go. It is Surah number, which Surah is it again? Surah Al-Anfal. Surah Al-Anfal, my brothers and sisters, إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. It's Surah number 8, verse number 2. Surah 8, verse 2. Remember this. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. Surely the believers are those, whenever Allah's name is mentioned, their Iman increases, their hearts tremble. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. That Iman only increases. Subhanallah. So we're trying to get to that stage where whenever Allah is mentioned, our heart trembles in our relationship with Him because we love Him. If I know I've done something wrong to my wife, and I know when I get home I'll be in trouble, my heart trembles just by the thought of the fact that I've done something wrong. Maybe I'm late. Maybe I broke my promise. Maybe I told her I'll take her somewhere I didn't. Maybe I forgot my anniversary. Maybe I forgot her birthday. Maybe I forgot to give her mother a call. Maybe I've done something wrong. When I'm coming home and I remembered, oh my Lord, I've forgotten to buy. It's our anniversary. I've forgotten to buy a bunch of flowers. Most people will turn around and go and look frantically for a gift of some nature for their wife because it's their anniversary or Eid present. Why do you do that? The name of your wife, the remembrance of your wife suddenly trembled your heart because you love her very much, or your husband. You love Allah so much that whenever Allah's name is mentioned, your heart trembles. You feel Allah's presence in your life. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. That iman increases. And وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And they rely on Allah even more. So by the whole purpose of our study circle today, and inshallah over the weeks to come, will be to make sure you understand Allah so that you can have a better relationship with Him. Remember, you don't need an you don't need an imam like myself. You don't need an imam at all to get closer to Allah. You can get close to Allah by yourself. You need to learn. Yes, you need a teacher. That's fine. Get a teacher who can teach you. But your relationship with Allah is direct. Your iman is direct. Your faith in Allah is direct. You ask Allah and Allah will respond to you. So brothers and sisters, there is no ifs and buts about our relationship with Allah. It's only possible through knowledge, through certainty. No confusion about Allah. Our religion is not like any other religion. It is not 3 into 1 and 1 into 3. It is not hundreds of deities and then one. None of that. Allah is one, simple, straightforward, one simple, singular message. There is nothing more to it. Allah is one. Single message. La ilaha illallah. There is nothing worthy of worship except one Allah. The most important, the unique, the absolute. The uncaused cause of all things in this universe, the beginning and the end, the eternal, everlasting, most merciful, most kind, forgiving, most generous, most loving, the fashioner, the designer. My brothers and sisters, as long as you understand Allah from those perspectives, you're fine. Is there any other question that you would like to raise? 3 minutes to go before we open up our floor to our guests. I've invited Sister Rabi to come. I've invited my dear brother Imam Jasat. I think I've forgotten to send him the link. Let me send it to him. Imam Jasat, if you're still around, please come. Ishaq Jasat, I think that's what I need to send it to him. If you can hear me. Ishaq Jasat doesn't exist on my system. Allahu Akbar. Ishaq Jasat, say, Imam, please come back. Oh, there you are, found him. I am going to send him my link. Sister Rabi has joined us, mashallah. I'm going to welcome her to our room in a minute. I have also invited Imam Ishaq Jasad to come and join us in a minute. And Dr. Feroz apparently is joining us to discuss any other questions from anybody before we finish our program, or before I finish my part and hand it over to the boss lady, as I call her. The boss lady hasn't been called the boss lady for many days now, I think months almost. I'm sure she's missing me calling her boss lady. Any questions, anybody else? Any questions about Allah? Remember, no ta'weez, no shirk, no bid'ah, no mumbo jumbo, no voodoo, none of those rubbish. We have Allah, one and the only, and our relationship with Allah is direct. You don't need anybody else. Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam said this, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for me. I don't need anything else in this world. Allah is sufficient for me. That faith, absolute faith in one Allah, made Musa part the sea, made Ibrahim endure the fire as if it became cool and gentle on his skin, made Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam endure the difficulties for 23 years, made Sayyidina Ismail alayhi submit to Allah, one and the only, when his father was about to slaughter him. Made Ayub suffer the illnesses that he suffered all his life. It's that belief in one Allah, no deity, no corruption, no dilution, nothing but one Allah. Okay, brothers and sisters, I'm done for today. I hope you're well. Let me invite Sister Rabi and see how she is doing. Sister Rabi, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
I'm okay. My phone's going at the same time.
Well, you have to switch off your phone. You can't have both.
I know, it's Dr. Feroz.
Well, tell Dr. Feroz to come online. Go on, you can talk to him.
Can I answer him? Okay.
Okay, you can. I'm going to put you at the back burner for now.
Okay.
And then I will, inshallah, come to you in a minute, inshallah. That's Sister Rabi, brothers and sisters. I will get her back. Yes, boss lady is back. Absolutely right, Unaisa. Salih Mangerat says thank you. Alfonso says, please ask Auntie Rabi who won the art competition.
Are you okay? Can you get in?
Look at her. Sister Rabi is talking and we can hear her. I'm going to mute her for a minute. There you go. I have muted her. Brother Imam Jasad, where are you? Imam Ishaq Jasad, please come over. We're waiting for you as well. If you cannot hear me, I'm sure one of the Mangeras will remind Imam Jasad that we are waiting. Sister Rabi, we're waiting for you to join us. In the meantime, if anyone has got any announcements to make, has anyone got married since we spoke last time? Has anyone had any babies since last time? I know Sister Rabi has become grandmother over and over. MashaAllah, we'll be finding out about that in a minute. In fact, let's talk to her first. Sister Rabi, oops, no. Add to the stream. That's right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Assalamu alaikum.
You became a grandmother again.
I did. Alhamdulillah, I did. A little baby boy called Jacob.
Allahu Akbar.
The most important name was the one in the middle, which was Ali, after his great-grandfather.
May Allah have mercy on that amazing man. Saleh Mangera says, Imam Jasad must be busy making his special yummy cheesecake. Fatima Mangera says, Imam Jasad is eating pie. Imam Jasad is eating pie. The pie Imam hasn't yet turned up. But Sister Rabi, let's start with you, without, of course, waiting for anybody else. So the mosque is on the verge of opening or closing. We don't know yet, but it's important to clarify for our people. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to clarify, and then we'll take all the questions. And inshallah, in the meantime, others will turn up.
Okay, that's great. I think if you have questions, everyone, just please make a note of it so that you can ask these questions. This is really, really a difficult time for all of us. We're scared. The virus has taken so many people in our community, and we really sometimes don't know what to do. And I'm hoping that Dr. Feroz, who I'm so grateful for, will give us a little bit more clarity. What I want to communicate to all of you is that Wightman Road Masjid wants to open, but we can only open if we do things right and we protect you, we protect us, and we protect our masjid. So where many people, I've been hearing from a lot of people, and where they may think that Wightman Road is not wanting to open, or they will come and cause problems for us, please don't do that, because we're trying our best. LICS has a duty of care to protect and to minimize the risk to all of you, to all of us, to the staff, to our volunteers, to everyone. It's not only our duty as management, it's also your duty as attendees, as supporters. And we need to work together on this. Now, the government guidelines, if we don't follow those guidelines, then we will be in trouble, because we will either be fined or we will actually be closed. And we don't want the masjid to open and then to be closed. That doesn't make sense. So let's take the time to open in a way that is safe and that we are ready. We need to follow the guidance, because the guidance is also in line with our religion. Islam doesn't teach us to put ourselves at risk. It doesn't tell us to put other people at risk. And during the last few days since the Prime Minister made these announcements, I have had much contact from people who say coronavirus doesn't exist. It's made up. Or I'm not going to come and follow any guidelines. I can go into the masjid if I want to. You know, the ethnic groups, the BAME, as everybody addresses them as, which includes us, has been significantly affected. We have had loved ones, respected ones who have died as a result of coronavirus. We've also had our loved ones who've been sick. So it's not even that they've died, but some of them have suffered with a longer term illness as a result of this virus. We don't want a repeat of what happened in March. So therefore, we will take all the practical steps that we need to take to be able to make it safe for people to come. So on that basis, I'm not opening the masjid. The committee or the board of trustees are not opening the masjid on the 4th of July. That is a guideline. There is no race. There is no competition. We do it as soon as we're ready. And we're not going to be far behind, but we just need to make sure things are correct and that all of you understand the guidelines of what has to happen when you come. Some of you may throw, as I've had, some of you may throw religious injunctions at us, and you may look for the most incredible religious injunctions. But we're all in this together. I can throw other quotations about what Islam teaches me, but it doesn't make sense. We just need to be able to work together to be able to achieve something, and that is the opening of our masjid without compromising the health and safety of the people who are going to come there. Remember, it's not just you who are the attendee or the worshipper who's coming. It's also the people who are going to be standing there and having to do the cleaning and the preparations and things like this as well too. Some of you have heard about this confusion. I just find that the government's guidelines lack clarity in so many cases. Now, he used the word 30, and I know that that relates to people getting married in chapels, etc. What we have to do and what we have done, working with the guidelines given to us by MCB, Faith Associates, other mosques, we've actually worked out how many people we can accommodate and to keep in line with the physical distancing. We are still following the 2-meter distance. It was an economical decision that it should be reduced to 1. It doesn't mean that we're healthier or we will not suffer as a result of reducing it to 1. We're going to maintain 2. So we've worked out in our masjid that we can actually accommodate 30 brothers and 10 sisters at any one time in the masjid. As guidelines go forward and the government changes different things, or there are reports of the virus going, or there is vaccines or whatever it is, these things will change. Majority of people, my brothers and sisters, are really supportive and want to help us. But there are a few that don't want to help us and just feel that, this is a masjid, I have a right to go to it. It's similar to the people who are very, very sick and they still want to fast. Sometimes decisions are made. I understand this from the heart. There are people who want to come back to this masjid, I know. But we will not make any excuses for adhering to the principles of what we have to do. These guidelines are set out by the NHS, the public guidance, public health guidance, and the government. And so let me just say to you very quickly, I know that Ajmal wants me to finish. Let me say really quickly that LICS will decide on a date that we will open. We, like many, many masjids, are making decisions and discussing the date and what prayers that we initially will open. For the moment, the first week will only open for Zuhr. And once we've got our helpers and our staff into the routine of how it should happen, then we will look at increasing the number of prayers. Remember, after every prayers, we have to do a cleaning. And the cleaning is really important to make sure we mitigate the risk. We do not intend to reopen so that some mosques have been saying to me, have as many people you can coming in, because that way you'll get your donations. It's not about that. And I'm sure Dr. Feroz will tell us and give us more details about that. Is a donation worth more than somebody's life? I don't think so. So the groups of worshippers who cannot attend the masjid at this time, if you or your family have just traveled from abroad, or even a member of your family, then you can't come. If you or your family member have had or suspected that you had symptoms of COVID-19 in the last 14 days, also you cannot come. This list I'm giving you is actually people who can't come. Those 65 plus, those shielding or cocooning, those considered vulnerable because of respiratory, heart, or other medical issues, those under 15 years of age, frontline staff who are in contact with patients should also pray at home. And we also recommend that pregnant women, there was a report out this week where women from our backgrounds have had a bit more COVID-19. So we ask our sisters who are pregnant to also stay away. Now, before you come to the masjid on the day that we advertise that we will be opening, you need to register your place online. We will circulate the email that you have to register, and there's a questionnaire that you need to fill in. The reason why we're doing that is because should anyone get sick in the masjid in that prayer that you have been in, then we have the contact details to be able to tell you that there is an issue and you need to probably self-isolate. It's also in line with the government, the NHS. I think it's called Test and Trace. The other thing I need you to know, these are really important, Brother Ajmal, so I'm really sorry if it's a little bit longer. Please do not turn up to the masjid thinking that you can come in like normal. It's not normal. You have to register. We will have details that you have registered. And when you come to the gate, we will then go through a series of questions to allow you in. Anyone who is late, the gate will be closed. As soon as the prayers is started, the gate will be closed. You will not be able to come in even if you have booked. We will be fair and equal in the distribution of, or the allocation, if you like, of prayers. So if 30 people come today for Zuhr, if another 30 people are waiting, we will give them that opportunity the next day. If 10 people only come, then it means that you'll be able to come all the time. But I'm sure Dr. Feroz will tell you about the numbers of times that you visit the masjid. At the masjid, you will have your temperature tested. And you will be asked immediately if you have wudu. If you don't have wudu, we will have to stop you from coming because all the wudu facilities and toilet facilities will be shut. If you're close by and you've registered for coming, you can go home, do your wudu and come back. You must also wear masks, gloves, and we're asking you to wear socks and to carry a carrier bag for your shoes. You must also bring your prayer mat. Now, any of these items, if you forget them, except the socks, you can purchase from the masjid. If you've booked and you've forgotten them, you can still purchase something from the masjid, like a disposable prayer mat. At all stages, coming in and going out, you need to understand that we will adhere to the 2-meter distance. So, for instance, when somebody comes in and they're guided to a space, they will be put to the front of the masjid, and then people joining for the back. So in other words, then, it's first in, last out, because when we take you out, you will be starting from the back and that person will go out first. And that's so that we don't have bottlenecks We only maintain one way in. We're not taking shoes into the masjid. We're keeping the shoes outside, and you will be shown exactly what to do. And you will be asked to sanitize whether you're wearing the gloves or not. What I want you to know and to understand is that these measures may seem draconian. And you can come and say to me, oh, the masjid down the road is not doing this, right? But it doesn't matter what somebody else is doing. We're thinking of you, and we're safeguarding lives. And we see it as a blessing that we safeguard these lives of everyone. So we're asking you to be positive, to be supportive, to be hopeful that Allah will take away this virus, and that we will all be able to return to our beloved masjid in the right way. And you know, I want all of you to be able to come back. I want all of us to be able to come back. But let's do it in the right way. If you have any questions and you've got my number, or you want to say anything, then please say it to us. As we go along, we need to be prepared and to understand that things will change. So some of the measures we're taking now over the next few weeks, they will change as we go along. If things get better, they will change for the better. If things get worse, like has happened in Leicester, they probably will shut Leicester down again, right? Then we have to play it by ear. But most of all, please think of us as well, and don't get angry with us for implementing some of these measures.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Rabi. I'm going to pause you there. I said 5 minutes. You've gone over 15 minutes, but that's okay. You're allowed. You're the boss lady. Brothers and sisters, we have also been joined by Dr. Feroz Mubarak, who is a doctor. I don't know what is your specialization, doctor, but Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you. Sorry, I got a bit late to come from work today. I was covering doctor sickness. 5 of the doctors work in one of my centers are sick on COVID. One is in ITU. All these 5 doctors, out of 5, 4 are Asian. One is an English doctor. But you can see the proportion of doctors who get unwell as well. So to start up the discussion, everybody really need to take it seriously that we are part of the BAME and we cannot deny it. It's in our genes. But yeah, so I'm here anyway.
Welcome. Just so that we understand the risk of people going to the mosque, being in close proximity, and possibly either contracting or spreading, could you just, in a very quick layman's term, explain the risk?
Okay, so there are risk factors of getting the virus in terms of the environmental and the physical risk factors. And on top of that, you do have your biological risk factors. It's very important people understand both. Unfortunately, as Asians, Middle Eastern, and also Black population, we are part of both risk profiles. So first one is the physical risk factors. So that's, for example, there are 3 main determinants of that. Number 1 is the amount of exposure to the viral load. For example, if somebody is coughing and sneezing and they have got COVID-19, they are more likely to spread more viruses than somebody who doesn't cough or sneeze or don't have any signs or symptoms, but still have COVID-19. As you know, about 80% of the population may have very mild symptom or no symptom. So you cannot look at somebody and say they have got COVID-19 or not. However, the more expressive symptom they have, the more viral load they will release it to the environment. So that's viral load is a factor. For example, if I inhale about 100 viruses, my immunity may be able to cope with it well. Whereas if I inhale about 100,000 viruses or 1 million viruses, by the way, you can get 1 million virus from one cough. Okay, more than 1 million virus from one single cough. So that is number 1 factor. Number 2 is the duration of exposure. For example, if I am talking to somebody with COVID-19 for 5 minutes, and as opposed to I spoke to somebody for, I don't know, half an hour, I've got 6 times more risk of getting more viruses than talking to them for 5 minutes. Again, it implies, so first thing implies in terms of coughing or sneezing, nobody who has got coughing or sneezing symptoms or any symptoms of COVID-19 including temperature, should be allowed to the masjid because they would spread the virus every breath they take. Second one, as I said, the duration of the exposure. So somebody's just breathing out COVID-19, the longer they spend in the masjid, the more virus they will spread. If they don't have the virus and there is virus in the masjid by another namazi who comes in, then you will inhale the virus. The longer you stay there, the more viruses you will inhale. And the third one is the frequency of contact with an infected person. Now, for example, if somebody goes to masjid for Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha every day, in this period, they are more likely to get more viruses than somebody just go for 1 or 2 prayers. It's very important people take this into consideration because these are scientific facts. These are not made up. There is evidence for this. So these are, we talked about the environmental factor. On top of that, the other things like, wearing masks will reduce the spread of the virus. One quick thing about mask, the mask we would be wearing, which is the surgical mask or anything you buy commercially, these don't stop you getting virus, okay? Only 60 to 80% of air would go through the mask. Another 20 to 40% air will go from the side of the mask. The only thing which would stop you inhaling the virus is the FFP3 mask or FFP5 mask. Okay, these are the one which seals your face and air cannot go from anywhere apart from through the vents in the mask. So wearing the mask is not for you to stop getting the virus. The mask is there to stop you spreading the virus for a longer distance. So if I am exhaling virus, if I'm wearing the mask will slow down my air. So instead of my breath going or cough goes about 1.5 to 2 meters, it will stop at 1 foot, which means the virus, because most of these particles are heavy droplets, they'll fall onto the floor. And that's the reason why the government wants you to wear masks, not to protect you, it's to protect other people if you have had the virus. And the other one is that you touch, you touch things, you wear things, some people cough into you and you touch over there. And of course, things can come through to your eyes as well. And these are the physical risks. Now, then you got the biological risks. So first risk, as we know, anybody who has got a reduced immunity, and these are the people who has got chronic diseases, because chronic disease like diabetes, blood pressure problems, heart disease, any recent surgeries, pregnancy, and also chemotherapy in the last 6 to 12 months, they would have reduced your immune response. So you are more vulnerable. On top of that, the main reason is actually your organs are more vulnerable. Your lungs more vulnerable. Your lung has been working harder than somebody of your age and your same genetic makeup, but who hasn't had a COVID chronic disease. Their lung would have been working harder. Their kidney would have been working harder. Your heart would have been working harder. The minute your body go into compromise because of the virus, your health will go down. So that's the reason. And the third one, of course, is the pain. So we are talking about Black, Asian, and minority ethnics. They statistically have a high risk of COVID-19. It's not because you have to be Asian and you have to have heart conditions. You have to be Asian, you have to have diabetes. No, these are independent risks. You have heart disease, you got high risk. You got cardiac disease as well, you got even a high risk. You got high blood pressure, you got even a high risk. You're Asian or you're African, you have got high risk. So don't think, okay, I'm Asian, but I don't have heart disease. We cannot rely on that. This is biological factors. The third one is, of course, as I mentioned to you, one of my doctors, he is Asian, he's 58. He has had COVID-19 7 weeks ago. He was tested positive for COVID-19. He was off from work for 3 weeks. And then he's come back. Again, he has had the infection again. Now he's in ITU in Barnet Hospital. And he's quite unwell. Right? May Allah cure him completely. But the point I'm trying to say to you is this is somebody who must have had exposed to COVID-19 at least once or twice, which means he should have had some residual immunity. He's in a worse situation today. So brothers, the point I'm trying to make is the risk is real and we need to take any precaution we can.
Thank you. Very, very powerful, very clearly put, and very, there is no ambiguity in your message. So thank you, Dr. Feroz. I want to ask people to ask any questions they have. So Sister Rabi has made it very clear. that the mosque will open when the mosque is ready. Mosque will open when mosque knows it can cope with both the demand and the cleaning regime and the guidelines that have been both set out by our government, our doctors, our experts. But most importantly, mosque knows its own capacity. The fact that you'll be coming to pray, the fact that you'll have to be thoroughly cleansed again, the mosque itself, and be ready for the next one. It is impossible for a mosque to be able to do that 5 times a day. Not enough time or resources to be able to prepare mosque for every prayer it opens. So we have to be very smart and very careful. Anyway, without repeating ourselves, if there are any questions, I would be happy to take. Is there anybody out there who would like to ask a question? You can raise that question straight away by writing on the Facebook page or the YouTube page. And inshallah, I will be more than happy to read them out to people.
Brother Ajmal, could I
yes,
ask one question? Can you just clarify one of the things that some of the scholars are saying is when you actually do the prayer and you go down into such things, you cannot put anything on your face. So where one of the guidelines is to wear a mask, people are saying that you can't wear anything on your face. Can you just answer that for us?
Fine. I think the idea of keeping our face covered while praying, of course, we know it's not allowed. We have to uncover our face to be able to pray. That is true. But in Islam, there is a very important principle called darura, means necessity. When necessity arrives, all normal rules of engagement disappear. An example, it is haram to eat pig meat. But if you are stuck and you are going to die without any food, and the only option you have is to eat pig meat, it is not only allowed, but it becomes an obligation upon you to save your life for that temporary moment and eat the haram to be able to survive. It's called darura, necessity. Necessity has no rules, number one. Number two, benefit and harm. If something is more harmful than beneficial, then it must be abandoned. If something is more beneficial than harmful, then it must be embraced. Keeping your face uncovered while in sajda will expose you and others to the risk of COVID-19, both being contracted and passed on. Therefore, the harm is greater. By maslaha and mafsada principle, you keep your face covered. By the principles of darura, necessity, you keep your face covered. And the next one is called by the rules of contagious disease. We know in Islam very clearly and categorically, Rasulullah said, don't spread contagious disease by going into a place that is contagious or leaving a place that has been struck by contagious disease. We are living at a very difficult time right now. We want to open our mosques, but we don't want to be emotional about it. We want to be rational about it, and we want to be responsible about it. So if anyone is using and throwing and I suppose misusing the evidences that they see hadith or Quranic verse to suit their needs, please fear Allah. Here we're talking about life. Protecting life is more important than the collective prayer. And that's why we closed down the mosques, because we could pray at home. So that's the answer to your question, Sister Rabi.
Sheikh Ajmal, can I just add one thing?
Sure.
From a medical perspective? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So wearing the mask when you go for sujood is particularly important for two reasons. Number one, you're very close to the floor. And as I mentioned to you, you must have seen hundreds of videos about COVID-19. Most of the virus is spread through the droplets. The larger the droplets, the more virus there. But the droplets will not stay in air. It will actually fall onto the floor. Only microparticles will stay there for a few hours, up to 12 hours. So where does it fall? It falls onto the floor. And you're going to go for sujood, and your nose is as close to the floor as possible. You will be inhaling those viruses because the air will pick that virus up and it'll go into your lungs. On top of that, the worst is you will spread more concentrated viruses onto the mat. Even if you're using your own mat, some of the air would go through the mat. So it is important in both aspects to not picking up the virus from the floor and also not contaminate the floor. You wear the mask from the scientific perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Any advice on how to strengthen your immune system? Somebody has asked. Doctor, how do you strengthen your immune system?
Okay,
You
so
eat a lot of turmeric. Asians, no problem. You have lots of it in your curry anyway.
right, yes. So there is nothing to strengthen your immunity unless you have actually get injected with immunoglobulins, which were exposed to COVID-19 straight away. Any immunity you would pick up will take at least 6 to 12 weeks, minimum 12 weeks, from any measures you will take to strengthen your immunity in terms of dietary or vitamin supplements. Okay, vitamin E and vitamin C are more important, including vitamin A, to strengthen your immunity. And you got rare metals like magnesium and calcium. These things are also important in playing a big role with your immunity. But more than those, we are talking about long-term deficiency with nutrients. The other things which help your immunity to fight better. So you're not thinking about strengthening your immunity. Basically, you're not thinking about increasing the soldiers, but you are training them and giving them better weapons. That you can do by, number one, not smoking, because smoking will knacker your immunity. Your immunity will be disabled significantly because of smoking. And exercise. Exercise encourages your body to develop endorphins in a controlled way. Okay, so that will help your immunity to fight better. The immunity would know, for example, kung fu rather than just fighting with hands. So it would be better technique it would be using. And the third thing is rehydration. If you're rehydrated better, your kidney will be able to filtrate better. Your liver would be able to burn things better. Liver is the incinerator in your body. It burns off bad chemicals. And on top of that, you've got your spleen, which is the incinerator for infected cells, and it will work better and more efficiently. And the fourth one is keeping healthy. So diabetes would reduce your immunity. So you're doing exercises and controlled diet will improve the glucose levels in your body, which in turn help your insulin to work better. And that again supplies enough ammunition for the immunity to work better. The fifth one is, of course, vitamin D in terms of sun exposure and exposure to good quality air, because that would make sure that your lungs are more efficient. So which means that when you needed more oxygen into a certain part of your body will be able to supply that. And the fifth one is good sleep. Okay, if you're stressed, if you're sleep deprived, if you don't get regular rest, your immunity will get weaker, because it is to do with the rejuvenation of your immune cells, as well as cells like cancer cells being suppressed. And if you're tired, if you suffer from uncontrolled depression for a longer period of time, high level of stress, these things actually will significantly reduce your immunity. So you can see, instead of you're thinking about, okay, can I get a pill today to improve my immunity? You can, but it'll take about 6 months, 3 to 6 months also. The best thing to do is just modify your lifestyle and diet.
Okay, thank you. Some questions have already been answered. Does face mask shield you and protect you from getting the virus? Well, it's been answered already. If nothing else, at least it prevents you from spreading it. That's correct. The most important thing.
Unless it's a higher quality.
Of course, there are different types of masks.
You need to really wear it quite tightly so there is no air leak. But
and that's the problem with most of us Muslims who have got beard. So it is.
It's true, yes.
Yes. Anyway, face mask is not just a preventative measure, but it is also a protective measure, both. Aziz said, can you get COVID twice? Yes, you can. Just like the doctor said, you can get COVID twice. You may not be able to develop sufficient immunity from it. But anyway, thank you. That's a fantastic set of 6 points you have raised, doctor, about how to strengthen our immunity. A lot of this is to do with lifestyle, diet, and habits. Okay, any other questions from anybody else? I know Imam Jasad has just joined. Imam Jasad, we have been waiting for you for the last half an hour. Where have you been? I think I'm going to bring you in. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Were you cooking a pie or were you making cheesecake?
No. I was at my parents' house. I was just we were eating a little while ago, and then it completely slipped my mind 8 o'clock. So I just managed to get on right now. How are you guys? You okay?
Alhamdulillah. Mangera family has been spreading rumors about you, saying you've been either making pies or you've been making cheesecake. But anyway, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Feroz. The statistics say that the Asian minority has died more than other citizens. Do you think any neglect or racism behind this? And then Fatima Mangara says, is swimming pool safe to use? What percentage of our kids are affected from swimming pools? So both of those questions to you, Doctor. Well, I can answer the first one before you do. There is no racism in the way COVID-19 has affected us. Unfortunately, it's genes. But go on, Doctor, carry on.
So so you answered my first answer, Sheikh Ajmal, that there is, virus knows no racism. So of course it affects anybody who is susceptible, whose immunity is weaker, and where they can get in high numbers, as I mentioned. If your question was directed towards the care they received, where Asians cared less intensively than others, that's not true at all. As far as I know, I'm in contact with 3 London hospitals constantly. Because I work as the COVID-19 strategy lead for North London. So I'm part of their PhD briefing meeting every week. And there isn't any. In fact, as soon as they see an Asian, they have less threshold to admit an Asian patient to ITU than a Caucasian patient. So you can see, because they know the risk and they know the Asians do deteriorate very quickly. There is no evidence at all whatsoever. From what I've seen from the hospitals where I work firsthand, because I also work as a frontline worker in Royal Free A&E, I don't think there is any kind of racism there. Now, with regards to the second answer question, swimming pool, as you know, swimming pool has got chlorine, which is a disinfectant. So you will not get, if it's properly maintained swimming pool with the same, with the required circle of disinfection, there wouldn't be any risk that we know of be infected from the water. However, the wet areas, that's one of the reasons why the masjid is not opening up the wudu area. Absolutely good reason not to open it is that the wet areas mean there is a lot of moisture. So as we know, all germs, all life thrive in water. So where there is moisture, where there is water droplet, the bacteria will thrive. And we all know in washing areas in the swimming pool, and of course the wudu areas, the water is not chlorinated. They're not chlorinated enough as much as the pools. They are just like drinking water. So virus will live in that for longer. So I would avoid wet washing areas, but practically speaking, I would avoid swimming pool altogether, at least for the next 6 weeks.
Okay, thank you. I don't, hold on, let me see. Yes, that's been answered. Would you take vaccine even though it may not be fully tested?
So it depends on how desperate we are. So if you're somebody who is quite young, so we should not get sidetracked. Okay, I am 30, I'm a football player, I'll be fine. This is not true, because I do know some rugby players who are very fit and well, Afro-Caribbeans, they were in ITU for a long time with COVID-19. But generally, yes, if you're a very young, very fit person, you may risk not taking the vaccine, because none of the vaccine has actually been proven to be 100% efficient. And out of all the 63 vaccine developers so far, only one has come forward quite a far way closer to developing the actual human testing stages. That's stage 3 and stage 4. So it's not, but any vaccine is better, in my opinion, because yes, we don't know the side effect, but we're not thinking about aiming the younger generation. So we're not talking about a lot of chromosomal mutations in human body. So if you're an older person, 20 or 25 or above, a vaccine comes up. If you ask me, would I take it? I would take it. In fact, they would offer to me first, because I'm a frontliner. But that's beside the fact. If a vaccine comes, but remember, the vaccine, I don't go home, make the vaccine, put out in the pharmacy. This is not how it works. There are 6 stages of testing before it could be put out. Depending on how desperate we are, the government may scrape the 5th stage, and then just put after the 4th stage may allow a vaccine to come forward. US is trying to approve that stage. So these are tested, but not tested enough, right? We are talking about testing about 100,000 people instead of testing about 10 million people. So there are no evidences, but if we are so desperate that we are going towards the Spanish flu kind of situation, you would want to roll out the vaccine even if you know it's half efficient. So the short answer to your questions, we don't know, but I think the best bet is to take it, especially if you're in the risk group.
Thank you very much. So Imam Jasat, you've come late. I've answered one question, but I'm going to ask you one quick question myself. What is the spiritual, is there a sin rather associated with keeping the masjid closed and encouraging people to pray at home, especially with the risk that we have? Very briefly, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I think there is a misconception going around, especially when we first closed the mosque, because obviously it was something new to everyone. But we have to understand in Islam, there is more emphasis on saving life than risking lives. So we have to be very clear. Islam is very clear. There's no such hadith, etc., that can contradict that. It is very simple. Saving the life of a Muslim is much more important. Hence why most of the masajids closed immediately. Now, obviously, in light of the 4th of July reopening, etc., some people may have other views in terms of how to manage that. But obviously, we have our own guidance regarding that. Islam is quite simple in the sense that, saving one's life, especially in the case of a pandemic like this, it's something that has happened before. At the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, when there was a plague that hit the people of Arabia, immediately he sought measures to save lives, not to, subhanAllah, to make the situation worse. So if we wanted to make the situation worse, we could have let the masajids open, but we didn't. So we had to minimize the risk. So I think it's key right now that we as leaders, regardless of whether we are scholars or imams or committee leaders, etc., just like we are doing a Wightman Road with Sister Rabia and the rest of the trustees, we have to think of the public safety. That is paramount, as Dr. Firoz eloquently has answered a few questions. And I think it's important that spiritually we understand there's no sin. We shouldn't feel bad that we haven't been able to pray Jum'ah every Friday in the masajid. We shouldn't feel bad that we couldn't pray Eid Salah together. Inshallah, there will be plenty more opportunities, and we make dua to Allah that He eases the pandemic situation. We should rather see this as a blessing to try and get close to Allah, not to see as a punishment. Many people at the beginning of the lockdown, messages were going around, this is a punishment from Allah because of our sins, etc. But ultimately, it is an opportunity for us to still pray. We are still able to pray, alhamdulillah. We can still pray at home. In fact, I would encourage everyone to read Salah with their families, because praying in congregation with the family increases the bond of kinship and love as well. So we just make dua. There's no such thing as being a sin that the masajids are closed. Follow your local mosque, follow your local guidance, and with the governmental authorities, it is important we listen to health and safety advice in this country, the NHS, and whether you're from America, whichever country you're from, listen to the guidance of the health professionals. And inshallah, it's about being strong, united, and understanding the situation, not panicking, not causing fear, and just, following the prophetic example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, where he would immediately maintain calm and issue relevant guidance that was necessary for the time. So we have to be understanding, we have to be strategic, but we have to understand it's not in my hands to open the mosque tomorrow. It's not in our hands. It is in the hands of the trustees to make the right decisions for the community based on governmental and health advice. So we make dua that Allah eases our situation, inshallah.
Thank you. Well, Sister Rabi made a point which was very important, and that is, and I would like to re-emphasize this point myself, which is that a lot of our community members may be feeling the eagerness and wanting to come to the masjid as soon as possible for the right reason, and the reason is they would like to pray. I understand that. But can you guarantee that our communities are ready and would actually abide by the rules? I don't think they will. People will break them. I've got somebody here, Zahid Omar, who has just written, could you please put some light on keeping distances when people get together? I went to a janazah today. No one followed the rules of keeping distance. There is another janazah tomorrow. I'm a little afraid to go. What shall I do? Well, my brother Zahid, the answer is very simple. Keeping distance, even if it's 1 meter, as distance has been reduced recently, you still have to keep distance for your own safety and the safety of the others. My worry, and Wightman Road Mosque's trustees' worry, is right. It's a legitimate one, that our community will not follow this. They will break it. They will make a light out of this matter, and we will unfortunately cause more trouble for ourselves. So we have to be ready in the committees. We have to have our mosques ready to be able to cope with our return. But more importantly, the community out there, you guys, us out there, if we are not ready, forget about it. We need to become ready. We need to get our heads out of that cloud nine space, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go to the mosque and I'm going to go to heaven. It doesn't happen like that. You go to the mosque, you cause more fitna, you're not going to go to heaven. You're going to be held responsible for causing trouble. So I'm pretty strong about this. I believe our community isn't ready, and we need to educate ourselves. We need to talk about it more often, and we need to strictly adhere to the distancing rule and the rules that have been outlined so beautifully and eloquently by my sister Ravi earlier on. If there are any final points anyone wants to make, I'll let them. But I would like to give that first chance to Sister Ravi to perhaps summarize or say her words before we bring this to an end. I don't want to prolong it too much because I think what's been said has been sufficient, succinct. Sister Ravi.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Feroz. He is a regular at our masjid. I've known him for some time, and out of the blues, when on our risk assessment it says appoint a medical person to give you advice. And it was really strange because I always say to all of you, Allah works in such a mysterious way that when we're struggling, suddenly he opens doors. And there you were. And Brother Feroz, thank you so much for your answers. I think there's so much more that we can get from you. And Dr. Feroz has actually said, because the one area that I'm really lacking in is first aiders. And Dr. Feroz even offered me to be able to get some younger people. He's not talking about me. He's talking about younger people to do some training with him that will allow us to have a few more people recognized as first aiders or to go through that process. So you could probably sort of just say a few words on that for me. The other thing, that one question that I really need to say as well too is for the doctor and for Isaac is the question about sanitizer and being 70% alcohol, right? And we all know, as I understand it, is that ordinary sanitizer is not going to help you with this germ. So what's the point of telling people to clear their hands, especially there's no washing facilities, with the sanitizer? So I think it'd be good to give us the guidance in terms of the alcoholic sanitizer. And I'm told by some people it's not the same as the alcohol you drink, but I don't know. And,
okay, so Imam Jasad, if you could kindly answer that, inshallah, and then we can go over to, that will be your last word as well, Imam Jasad, then we'll go to Dr. Faraz.
Can I just do one last one, Brother Ajmal? One last one. Just to say that so you all know, after we've opened, we will only be doing the one prayer per week, and maybe for the first 2 weeks. For 3 weeks after, we're not going to be doing the Jummah prayers. And I think the other masjids in Haringey are doing exactly the same thing. So just so that people understand that Jummah prayers will not be done for about 3 weeks after we've opened. Thank you.
Imam Jasad?
So, yeah, Sister Rabi, your point is valid, is noted. I think from an Islamic perspective, obviously there's different opinion with scholars, but obviously you are correct in the sense that alcohol, for example, with the sanitization, it's not the one that you actually drink. It's not like you're consuming alcohol and then like the actual drink, for example. So I think some you can get really low amounts. It's very difficult to find the kind of correct one, but I will leave that to Dr. Feroz. He's more kind of, I think, qualified in that sense. But what I do want to mention, just closing my kind of guidance is, please, any advice or any kind of guidance you need from an Islamic perspective, do speak to your local scholars. Do not send out messages that are not verified, and it's okay to ask questions. Like, this is an excellent opportunity that Imam Ajmal has been leading on, and we've all been able to ask questions. So I think it's good to ask questions so that we know what to do, what not to do. As Imam Ajmal mentioned, we need to respect guidance. We are not ready. I do agree with him. I don't think collectively we are ready for our masajid to open fully. We've still got a long way to go, and may Allah make it easy for us and enable us to be very, very cooperative with the local authorities and the health advice. Jazakallah.
Thank you, Barakallah fikum. Just before I go to the doctor, brothers and sisters, this is one terrible cultural misapplication of our law, our Islamic law, that I want you to be very clear about. In Islam, it is haram to drink or take anything that intoxicates you. So that is called khamr. Alcohol that we use on our hand sanitizers or on our aftershave or on our medicine or on our cream do not intoxicate you. It is not the same khamr that is intoxicating. It's because of lack of knowledge of science we are even discussing such a basic, very basic thing on Islamic principles. So alcohol on your medicine, alcohol on your sanitizer, alcohol on products other than consumption is not an issue. It's not an issue for Islam and the Muslims. So please don't get it mixed up. If you need to save life, pig meat and alcohol consumption becomes halal temporarily under the law. I don't even understand where Muslim mind is thinking. We become so dogmatic. Move away, brothers and sisters. Go on, elevate yourself from primary kindergarten classroom to becoming a bit more university level. This discussion needs to move on. Anyway, Dr. Feroz, you can see my frustration with our community and asking such basic questions. Let's finish it off right, if we can, with your final words.
Jazakallah, Sheikh Ajmal. I'm going to give an answer, but please let me tell you 3 things as a take-home message after this, because I think it's very, very important. So the answer to the alcohol gel, you need minimum of 70% alcohol to kill the virus. That strongest alcohol to drink is 40% to 42%. That's the vodka. Apparently, I've never drunk, so I don't know. But this is what I've been told. So if you drank this, you will die. Okay, you're not going to get drunk. You will die. It's 70% alcohol. So that's the reason why you have to have. You cannot have anything less than 70%. It's not approved by WHO as a disinfectant. Second thing is from the fatwas I've heard that if the alcohol is najis, basically if it's as an alcohol, so you're supposed to dry it. So that goes well along with rubbing the alcohol for 2 minutes. Remember, when you wash your hand, you're supposed to wash it for 2 minutes until you make sure every single fold of your fingers and the hands actually rubbed in with soap and washed off. Same thing applies to alcohol. When you apply an alcohol disinfectant, you're supposed to rub it in the same style. Remember, front, back, between the fingers, and then and back of the nails, and your thumb separately, and make sure you cover the back of your hand as well. And that has to be rubbed for 2 minutes. What happens when you rub this alcohol disinfectant for 2 minutes? It dries, so it should be fine. This was the only explanation extra to what Sheikh Ajmal told me, that if it's dry, it's no more najis anymore, so you can pray with that. That's a kind of derivative I've had. This is what I heard. I'm not an imam.
Correct. You're correct.
Correct. Yeah. So the 3 things I'd like everybody to take home on. What is the death rate at the moment? Sorry, what is the total number of deaths today? I don't remember. I've seen it about 3 days ago. About 43,000 people died of COVID-19 in the UK. The average daily death rate is 131 or something day before yesterday. And the rate of infection in the UK is between 1,200 to 1,500 a day. Jordan, what is the total number of deaths today? 9. Since COVID-19 started. 9. You know why? It's because if you get out of your house, you will be battened by the army and the police. So the stronger the restrictions, the less you will spread. The point I was trying to make is the reason why the trustees, the mosque is so strict about this is not because of their benefit. The more people they let you come in, the more money you will put in for the sadaqah, and the more income and more, more the mosque will run. So there's everything telling that they should open the masjid, apart from one thing, safety. And they are the one who keep the doors closed. They are responsible to Allah for letting the floodgate open. So it is important we help the trustees to maintain that safety. So that's first thing I wanted for you to think about. We all think, okay, the death rate's going down, everything's fine. You go, what happened in 1918 to 1920 when Spanish flu? First time came, people had a lockdown. They died half of the second wave that they had. They opened up, everybody had parties on the street. More than twice the number of people died. So it's very, very important we avoid a second wave, which is inevitable. So the need for being strict with opening. The second thing is I want you to think about a practical way. when you breathe in or out, you actually breathe out somewhere between 800 mils to 1,400 mil of air. That's in one breath. We breathe 16 to 20 breaths a minute. So imagine 20 breaths a minute. How much is that? That's about roughly how much? About 30 liters of air in a minute by one person. You got 100 people in, 30,000 liters of air going into the prayer space. And you spend 10 minutes inside the masjid. What happened? 300,000 liters of air come in and out of your lungs. If you got 5 people who are infected of COVID-19, who are asymptomatic, they're going to spread that amount of virus into that. Each breath will have more than 1 million virus. So I want you to think about it practically. Very, very important you understand that, because we can say, okay, everything is down. But end of the day, the risk is still there. Last thing about 1 meter. Does anybody know why the 2 meter was reduced to 1 meter? Is it because the virus has gone weaker? Is the death rate is just significantly go down? No, it's an economical move. Okay, we all know why did the government didn't shut down the airports, didn't have a full hard lockdown, because the impact on the economy. And that's the case we see today. 40,000 plus people have died. Okay. Now, the reason we reduced the distance from 2 meters to 1 meter so that they can accommodate more people in a shop, more people in an institution, more people at work. That's the reason they reduced from 2 meters to 1 meter. Not because the virus has gone weaker, not because the risk is low, and especially think about us as Asians, as Middle Eastern origin, as African origin, we are at a high risk. So none of our risks have gone down. So if anything, I would put my hand up and say, don't open the masjid for at least next 6 weeks. Why am I going on about this 6 weeks statistic? There is something called T-half. T-half means the time it takes for the threat to go half of what it was. It's not reached yet since we had the peak. So we are predicting will be in 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere like that. So if somebody came to me and asked me, should we open the masjid? I would say, no, hold on. But however, we are willing to compromise. So brothers and sisters, be grateful, inshallah, that we can at least take turns and go and pray in the masjid. Remember about spending the least amount of time. Remember about cooperating with the regulations. If you break the regulations or the plan, you're going to put other people at risk. And that's a great sin. And the third thing is think about cutting down the number of times you go to masjid. Jazakallah khair.
Look, brothers and sisters, I think we've done a very comprehensive analysis of where we are. And I agree entirely with Doctor, and I know you already have heard from Sister Rabi that we need to protect ourselves. You know, Rasul looked at the Kaaba one day and he said, "Oh Kaaba, the life of a believer is more worthy than you. Honor of a believer is more worthy than you." And the Kaaba itself. Now, it is how important our life is. It's not a joke. And we need to be very serious about this. So just to finish off, please, my brothers and sisters, stay at home, pray at home. There is no rush. There is no rush in coming back to the mosque. We want to. Myself, Imam Jasad, and many others whose lives as imams revolve around mosques, we are almost, imagine if I was a chef and my kitchen was shut. That's what's happened to us. But we are saying, no, our community needs to have more knowledge, more education before we are ready. So slowly, gradually, we'll inshallah open, listen to the advice of our leaders. Sister Rabi is in a very critical and yet responsible position with her trustees. Listen to the advice. We will open when it is the correct time to open, and you will hear about it. So join us, our circle again next Sunday. We do it every Sunday now, 7 till 8 an hour. But if there is anything special like this, we'll extend it. Inshallah, we'll see you on Sunday. Tell everybody, please stay tuned. And we're going to be doing a children's program very soon. You will find the publicity for it. It's called Children's Summer School, inshallah. And we will let you know more about it later on. From myself, from Sister Rabi, from Imam Jasad, and from Dr. Feroz, I would say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.